on Facebook, on you.
Yeah,
It's everywhere, right? Here in a
good.
few minutes, we're going to be broadcasted, and the world's going to see us, Robert.
Let's go.
Don't sweat too much. You got your water. I see you. Okay, we're good, guys. We're live. So, David, you just want to get us started. We'll get rolling and make it natural.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Small Market Sessions. So today we're going over land home packages. Now, land home packages has kind of become hot recently, and it's one of the most overlooked plays out there in real estate. I mean, it's affordable housing. It fits a niche that's out there every day. A lot of people are looking for the land home deals from people looking for affordable housing, from people looking maybe to move out of their home. And instead of building a new home as their final home, let's just say they buy a land home package and they get new warranties, get warranties and stuff like that. And so, anyway, so that's what this call is going to be about. So, what you're going to learn is the ABCs of small market land home type investing. And today we have with us our resident expert, Robert Howell, who came from corporate America and made his way into mobile home parks and land home deals. And without further ado, Robert, go ahead and kind of give us your backstory and we'll get going.
Appreciate y'all having me. I'm really excited to be here. Last time we were on together, I had a lot of fun, and really happy to share my story and hopefully answer questions y'all have, and really go deep here. But I live in Clemson, South Carolina. So you talk about small market. That's a small market, but with big time football program, go Tigers. But so I live in Clemson, South Carolina, which is the upstate. But my background, if we back up, I went to Clemson University, studied here, studied marketing. And if we start way back there, and I'll kind of speed forward here in a minute, but took off my junior year and I ran with the Olympic torch, and went around the country for 40 or 65 days, went to 45 states, doing marketing for Coca-Cola on the Olympic torch relay. In fact, if you look behind me, you can see over, I guess this one here is the Salt Lake Olympic torch, then Vancouver, and then Tokyo Olympic torch. But I ended up working on about 6 Olympic torches over my corporate career, traveling all over the world, traveling over the US, doing event marketing, real big event marketing for Fortune 100 companies. Well, then COVID hit, and I'd always been interested in real estate, and COVID hit. And I was like, oh, dang, what am I going to do? There's never going to be an event again. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I knew I liked real estate. I had a passion, bought some rental properties in Memphis, Tennessee, before that. And so I said, well, I'll give real estate a shot. And so I started buying and selling just small, affordable houses, buy a house for $5,000, sell it for 25, and really enjoyed that. Through that process, ran across a guy who was selling a mobile home park. Actually, his nephew was selling a mobile home park. And he said, hey, my nephew's selling this mobile home park. Would you want to buy it? I said, yeah, sure. That'd be great. I don't know anything about mobile home parks, but he was going to sell or finance it to me. And I felt like it's a pretty good deal. And so I took that and bought that mobile home park, sold it a year later for a profit, and then bought a bunch more mobile home parks. But as a result of that, I got my mobile home dealer's license. In South Carolina, you're supposed to have a mobile home dealer's license if you sell more than 2 mobile homes a year. And so I got that dealer's license and saw, hey, I could buy these homes for a pretty affordable rate direct from the factory. And instead of flipping, why don't I just buy land and put new mobile homes on that land? So anyhow, I started doing that. And so now really my focus is really a few things, but day to day, I look for mobile home parks to buy. Um, and that's my long-term strategy, my tax avoidance strategy, let's say tax reduction strategy, to buy mobile home parks. And then day to day, I buy land and put new mobile homes on land. And that's been really great. Did about 50 last year. I'd love to do 100 this year, all across South Carolina and the Southeast, really. But anyhow, that's my story. I'm married to my wife. We live in Clemson because she's a professor here in education. Has a great job doing that. And we've got 2 boys that are in high school. One's a freshman and one's a junior. And they actually own a mobile home. I sold them a mobile home a couple of years ago. Seller financed it to them, and that was their first remote experience, and they're interested in it also, which is a lot of fun.
Hey man, that's good stuff. In some ways, I'm married to a professor at Marshall University,
Oh yeah,
and yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah. So we're all Marshall graduates and stuff.
Okay,
I played football there back in the '80s, late '80s. So
nice.
yeah, but anyway, so moving forward, can you explain basically? We'll just start from the beginning with the basics. Can you just explain what these land home packages are and how it all how do you get started with it and how it works and just kind of
Yeah,
take
for
it.
sure.
Yeah.
So, land home package, really to put it just as simple as you can, you buy raw land. And sometimes it doesn't have to be exactly raw. Maybe there was an old home there previously, but you buy vacant land, um, and then you clear it, prepare it, and then you buy a manufactured home direct from the factory is what we do. You don't have to buy it direct from the factory, but we buy it direct from the factory. Uh, Clayton, Cabco, Champion, Fleetwood, a few of the manufacturers. And then that home then ships from the factory to the land. Um, and then we set up that home. So that home comes completely done on the inside, but we've got to block and tie it down, secure it to the land, put it the two pieces together because we do double wides, finish it out, trim it out, do HVAC, electrical, so on. And then we sell the land and the home together as a package to typically first time homeowners. 95% of the homes that we sell are to first time homeowners, which we love because these are typically homeowners that maybe thought they'd never be able to afford the house that they needed, whether it be the location, square footage, a new house, whatever it may be. So we sell to not again 95% of people that we sell is first time homeowner, and they buy the land and the home together, just like a regular site built house.
Okay, so if people out here kind of want to get in that business, first of all, they got to have a piece of land to get started with, right?
Right.
Then secondly, they got to purchase a mobile home. So for most people, it would be go to their local Clayton, Oakwood dealer, right?
That's
To do this.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, or find somebody like myself who has a mobile home dealer's license who's willing to sell at wholesale prices. That's going to be better for you as an investor. You want to find somebody in your local market, or doesn't necessarily have to be in your local market. I have my mobile home dealer's license in I think 8 states now. So somebody like myself that sells to investors, so you can get it. Typically a dealer's lot is going to mark it up probably 30, $40,000 versus buying from somebody like myself who's more of a wholesale dealer. You save quite a bit of money, which becomes your profit margin.
Right,
But
right.
to your point, like, what's the first step? First step's really finding land. I had a conversation with a guy yesterday that's just getting started. Actually, he was a plumber down in Charleston, South Carolina. He lost his job last week and is looking for the next thing, right? And what does he need to do? And I said, hey, look, don't worry about anything else other than finding land. Once you find land, call me. We'll look at the land together and we'll see, okay, is it a good deal? Are the comps there? And so on. So that's really your first thing is, hey, find a good piece of land. Typically, we're looking for land anywhere between 20 and $40,000 for the land. Of course, we'd like to be lower, but if we're close to the city, we're going to be paying $40,000. Or if we're buying a lot that has utilities on it, we're going to pay $40,000 maybe. Um, and then from there, you'll just want to make sure there's comps that show that you can sell. Typically, we're trying to sell for like 210 to upwards of 300, depending on the market.
Okay. So basically in your market, $40,000 is kind of your threshold, right?
That would be the top of the top, right? And that would be, hey, if I'm going to buy a piece of land for 40K, I need to probably be selling that house for 250.
Okay,
If
250.
I'm selling for like 220, then I want to be paying 20 to 30.
Right, right. Okay. So you start with that. You got to find your land first. And so you got to make sure that it's proved that the county or city will let you do mobile homes and
That's
make
right.
sure there's utilities, water, sewer, all those sort of things, right?
That's right. Yeah. So what we typically do is we're going to get the land under contract. we're going to ask for a 30 to 45 day due diligence with the land. The nice thing about it is when we're marketing for land, of course, there's competition, but there's not as much. Typically, people aren't in as much of a rush as they are to sell a house. If you think about, hey, I'm buying a house to flip, then you may only have 14-day due diligence, right?
Right, right,
But typically, we're going to ask for 30 to 45 days, which allows us time to go talk to the county, make sure the zoning's approved. We have time to do a soil test to see, can we get a septic tank approved. We're checking to make sure we get a driveway encroached. We're making sure there's access to water. That could be public water typically, but in some areas it could be a well. We want to understand what the well is going to cost.
right.
Um, we're going to get estimates from all our contractors. So we're going to check with the contractors. Typically, since we're doing so many, we know most of the costs. They're set fixed costs. But things like grading is a variable cost. We'll call a grader and say, hey, give us an estimate on this during the due diligence phase. And sometimes even before we buy it, we'll have them go by there, or before we contract it, we'll have them go by there. The reason I like that is because then at the end of the 30 to 45 days, I've like asked every question I could, right? And I know that I can sleep at night because I've checked all the boxes during due diligence. And I know I'm not going to have an issue with zoning. I know I'm not going to have an issue with water. I know what the septic tank is going to cost, the grading, so on.
Hmm.
And then after closing, the process is the same every single time, which we love. And we used to flip. Now we don't flip because this process is the same every time. I don't have any surprises. Although right before this call, my project manager called me and said, "Hey, we had a water pipe bust and one of our brand new homes. Not our problem. I mean, it is our problem, but there was a hole in one of the pipes from the manufacturing process. Doesn't happen. This might be the only second time it's happened, but anyhow, so there still are problems, but not or surprises, let's say, but not as many.
Okay. Yeah. 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 Definitely. That happens for sure. Um, Also, so if you're looking at a piece of property, so we can break it down for our viewers, and it doesn't have city utilities, so that's going to be a big variable in the way that you make your offer and how much you do offer. Because if you've ever tried to price septics and some different things, septics could be, $10,000, $12,000 just depending on the county and the inspector and what they want you to do. Do you run into that?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so we have a calculator, but we'll plug in all of our budget. Right, every line item is typically the same, but utilities are important, and that's a big variable because to your point on the septic tank, a conventional septic for us is going to be 7 to 8, maybe $9,000, but an engineered septic is going to be $25,000 up to maybe $40,000, which could have a big impact on the potential profit. And sometimes it kills the deal, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it offers a renegotiation point with the seller, right?
Right. So when you have those properties without, let's say, city sewer, you have that all taken care of. You have the inspectors come out and do all their due diligence and tell you what they'll approve, and then you can kind of go from there,
That's
get
right.
estimates on it and stuff.
Yeah, and I would tell you, like, man, probably 80, 85% of the projects that we do don't have city sewer. Um, just, from the land that we're finding, it's not connected to sewer. And so we're almost always doing septic tanks. And the process we use is we're hiring a soil classifier um, and or a soil scientist. And there's in every state there's licensed soil classifiers, and we're hiring them. They go out and they test the soil, and during the due diligence process, and then they tell you, hey, this is going to be conventional or this is going to be engineered.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's sort of similar here like that as well. Each county has their own inspector from the health department that comes out and
Right.
does all the measurements and the setbacks and the so far from the creek. And here you're always between the river, the tracks, the creek, or the mountain. You're always like right there, kind of pinned in.
Yeah.
Um, so we deal with that a lot. You got to be so far from creeks and bodies of water and all that. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's something that the county can help you with. And of course, lots of times your septic install guys, whoever you're getting your septic from, they're pretty knowledgeable too.
Oh
So
yeah. 100%. And we do that sometimes where the septic installer will go out there before the soil engineer, um, and he'll test it, make sure it looks good, and then let us know. Okay, yeah, it looks good. Go ahead and hire the soil engineer.
Okay. Yeah. So, it's just, basically when you're doing these things, it's like a flip, you got to have your checklist and you got to be working through it and
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Work
you
through
got,
checklist. I think our due diligence checklist is probably like 50 items long. And so we just go through that day by day. You can do it all in like 2 or 3 days if the county answered you. But a lot of times just sitting and waiting on them.
right, right. Well, I mean, so once we get by the septic hurdle, uh, then we may or may not have a well, or we may have to do something with that, or you may, lots of areas, lots of places in our area will have city water but no sewer.
Yeah,
So
that's
we
pretty typical. Yeah.
we see that a lot here. So, you
Hmm.
know, uh, I sometimes I feel like the septic's a little easier to deal with than the water, you know.
Yeah, yeah. That's for sure, right? Because you start drilling for water, you're not sure you're going to hit it or not, right?
All
Or
right.
how deep you got to go, especially up in
Yeah.
your neck of the woods.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah. It's sort of like going to Las Vegas and put some money on something, you just never know.
Right,
But
right.
but yeah, so once we do that, then you've got your mobile home people, right, that come out and do all your install, your setup. Do
That's
you
right.
do
Yeah.
they?
So typically, like on the install, so what happens is, so we've bought the land, let's say, right, and we've closed on it. Well, we're going to try to move as quick as we can. So we're gonna move the day that we close. We're going to start grading and clearing it. We'll clear the land, all the trees. We'll prepare the dirt pad. Actually, if you're listening, you can look at me on follow me on social media. Bobby Quattro, Robert Howe the fourth. But Bobby Quattro is my Instagram. I was out at a site today where we just prepared a pad, but we prepared the pad, and and then the house delivers. So when I order the house from the factory, they're going to ship it directly from the factory to the parcel. Um, and when they do that, like for example, we had a house delivering today at 1 o'clock, about an hour ago, and it delivered to the site. The mobile home installer was there to accept the delivery because typically they're pulling these houses with really big semi trucks, and those guys don't like going off road. And I don't blame them; those are real big rigs. But anyhow, so they drop it on the road, um, and the mobile home installer picks it up with a house cat. And a house cat is like a little army tank looking vehicle that it's $100,000 thing. It's the size of a golf cart, but it's $100,000, and so it can carry a lot of weight, and it pulls it off the road into the pad, and then they start to block and tie it down. So imagine the two pieces come together, and then they are putting blocks or piers underneath the house to support it. No different than the house that you and I live in, with the piers underneath it. But then they're going to tie it down and strap it down to the earth. Depending on where you're located, if we're in the upstate of South Carolina, it's a lot less tie downs than it is down in the low country near the beach where, hurricanes could hit. But they tie it down, permanently fasten it to the earth, and then we start to trim it out. So we'll hire. We have probably about like 8 different subcontractors that we hire through the process. That might be trim out guys, electrician, plumbers, brick masons, HVAC people, deck people, graders, septic, well people. So we coordinate scheduled with all of those different contractors. Depending on the county, typically we may have one inspection, which we love, just one inspection because it makes it move really fast. But in a lot of counties, you'll have 2 inspections. So you'll get kind of the underneath of the mobile home done so they can peek under there and look at it. And then they approve that. Then you can do the brick underpinning and finish out the rest of the decks and the HVAC.
Right. So when you're doing this, and I don't know if it's still the same, do you have to strap that home down like to FHA standards? Is that still the standard on them?
Yeah, yeah. That's a good point of clarification. Because we're selling to majority FHA, then we have to install this to HUD specifications. So we do that for every house. You don't have to do that; it's not a requirement. But because we know that majority of the people, our buyers, are going to be FHA, we go ahead and do it from the start. It saves us time and money. So we set that up. The way we do the foundation, the way we strap it down, the way we do the underpinning is very specific to the HUD guidelines. And then at the end, we have to hire an engineer that can come out and they put a stamp on it and they say, hey, this house is HUD certified. It follows all the HUD guidelines. And that's what the lender will require to provide the FHA loan.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's done on every single house for us. Some people don't do it because it does cost a couple $1,000s extra to do it that way. For the beginning, and you may end up getting a cash buyer, and so you've just wasted that money. But if you get a HUD buyer, that could be FHA, VA, or USDA loans, and you haven't done that, it could add 15 to 30 days to your closing while you wait on contractors to come do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've seen a lot of that in our area on resale homes that wasn't strapped down at all or
Wow.
barely strapped down, by
Yeah.
good old boys. And
Yeah.
then we've had to go back in and have it all redone underneath and restrapped and,
Yeah.
to meet the guidelines to go ahead and get financing and move forward with the sale of the home.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Happens a lot here. But yeah, you talked about something. What's that called that they move it on the property with? What'd you call that?
It's called a house cat.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, really cool vehicle.
Yeah.
They have a few different types of vehicles for mobile home install. House cat is kind of the tank looking vehicle, which really just is pulls it. I mean, it can lift it up and such too. They also have something called a platypus, which is a longer um, looking machine that slides underneath the entire house and can pick up the entire house from underneath. And sometimes the installers will have two of those to move it around. It just gives them more flexibility in how they can move it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they also have, and maybe up in your area you've seen it. It's called a jade. A jade is basically a contraption that replaces the axles and allows them as they're moving in. If you're in a mountainous area or you've got a steep driveway that you have to get up, um, it allows them to pick up the house really high, and then all four wheels of this jade will turn basically in a 360 degree, so they can really navigate some really tight locations.
Yeah, that's what we see a lot of here. Yeah, because if you've ever been in the mountains in North Carolina, West Virginia, different places, and you're driving along and you see maybe a single wide up on the side of a mountain on a rock, you're like, what the hell? I mean, how did they even get that up there? I mean, the road is just vertical, and man, these guys are incredible the way they can move these homes and get them set in places. I'm always amazed and awed by them when I watch them do it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
They
you
they make
the
it look easy.
the house mover, house installer is a very critical piece of this puzzle here, and be able to navigate it safely, effectively, and get them in locations that otherwise may not be possible is important.
Yeah, I mean our roads are very narrow and windy, and I mean these guys are cowboys, man. The guy up front in that tractor pulling those things, I'm like, wow, man.
Yeah, I talked to some of our installers, and it's like they tell me, man, 20 years ago we would have never put a house on a lot like this, And so, as more and more people buy land, and obviously the population grows, and South Carolina for sure it's grown. Those nice flat lots aren't available anymore, and so you end up putting houses on lots that 20 years ago they probably would have told you no way we're going to put it on. But equipment, technology, process has improved, and now it's good to go.
Yeah, yeah, definitely good stuff. Travis, you got any questions? I've kind of been on it here for 25 minutes. I'll let you kind of hop in there.
No, I'm just listening to you guys. I've been playing around on making sure the Zoom and the lives and everything's running properly. But nah, man, like I love this stuff. I love mobile homes. I love land. I think it's interesting, because I've walked into so many houses and walked out with fleas all over me and like dog poop. I mean, it's just, I've seen it all. And I know when you're dealing with land, there's always problems with when it comes to making money, there's always problems and you got to fix, you got to be a problem solver, but I love this stuff. I just want to know, how much money are we talking, Robert? Like, I know it's an easier process than flipping, so how much, what's the average profit size from these deals is what I'm wondering.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, the minimum profit that we make when we or on paper, at least when we're starting a project that we're looking for is 30K. We've made upwards. Our largest profit today was 95K. Um, and so, it can range. It depends on the area, really, and the comps. But typically, you're going to have anywhere from 125 to 200K total into a project. And if I have 125K into it, then I'm okay making 30K profit. I think anybody would say you're okay making 30K profit, right? That's a great day. But when I start to get into the 200K investment, obviously my risk has increased from a financial standpoint. And so at that point, we're looking for a 50K plus profit. Um, and that's achievable. Of course, the 50K plus profit areas are more competitive in terms of buying land, but there's plenty of opportunity out there. There's guys that we work with, part of our Land Home League education program. They're down in Florida and they won't get out of bed for less than 50K profit on a deal. But I told them I'm going to have to move down to Florida for that.
Yeah. What to you, what's the difference between like what was the difference between the $30,000 profit and the one that did like 95? Like what was the difference between those two deals?
Really, it's just the location, of course.
Mm,
That's the difference between being in the upstate of South Carolina versus being in, let's say North Georgia. Charleston would be, probably a 50 to 100K. North Georgia would be a 50 to 100K around Charlotte metro. I'm just thinking Southeast Florida. Um, so location number one, but with location brings higher land cost, right? And so typically your comp is going to go up, right? So we're in the upstate, we're selling for 225. In the low country, we may sell for 275 to 300. Um, but our cost of land is going to go up. So when you talk about difference, location, cost of land, of course, and then septic tank. Those are those are really the variables that you can control. Well, actually, one more grading. So the variables we can control really are cost of land, septic tank, um, and grading. Of
okay.
course, the house cost can be different too. But if I'm going to sell $300,000 house, I'm going to get a nicer house than I am for what I'm selling for 225.
No, I got you. I mean, this is affordable housing, right? Well, you're doing these in areas where, if you went and bought a brand new built house or flipped house versus that brand new mobile home, there's a big price difference, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, and what we usually look at is either we're going to compete on price. I think that's a great question, and people ask me that all the time. It's like, how do you determine what home to put there and then what to price it at? And I'll tell you, there's two ways that we look at it. One is, do we want to compete on price? So we're going to give you the same square footage as Ryan Homes is going to give you, but we're going to give it to you for less money. Um, or we're going to give you more acreage, right? Or we're going to go into a market and we're going to say, hey, let's say Ryan Homes is selling for 225, but you're going to get a posted size lot, um, and you're going to get a 1,200 square foot house. Let's say you buy a manufactured home, we're going to give you a half acre lot or an acre lot, and instead of 1,200 square feet, we're going to give you 1,600 square feet, right? And there's a lot of people. We may not give you a garage like Ryan Homes would, but there's a lot of people that can afford the Ryan Homes, but it's only a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,200 square foot. and they'd rather have a larger footprint, larger house on more acreage, and so they're willing to come over and live in a manufactured home. And we see that a lot, in terms of choices buyers are making. I don't have a lot of interactions with buyers because we have realtors that do that, but you hear stories about, as people competing that we're competing with an old townhouse, or we're competing against, a new construction but smaller, or maybe we're competing against an old build house in terms of what the buyers are considering buying.
Gotcha. No, that makes total sense. And what about like, because there's a lot of wholesalers, out here, and everybody, like in my opinion, there's different types of buyers. Like there's the fix and flippers, and this is kind of like a new buyer. I know this has been going on, like people's been doing land home packages, but as far as like becoming popular and an investment strategy, I think this is semi newer, you
That's
know.
right. That's right.
Um, so like, what made you want to like get loud about it? What made you want to be
That's
the
a good.
different one?
That's a good point. People like there are people that tell me like, "Hey man, stop going on videos and telling people about this," right? But for me, I think there's a couple of things that drive me. And number one, I would say affordable housing. And I think there's a huge need for affordable housing. And that drives me to say, hey, it's rewarding. When I sold a house a month ago to a lady, she was divorced. She'd been living in a rental house for 2 years, a rental apartment. She's a school bus driver, never thought she could buy a house, right? And we were able to sell her a brand new manufactured home that she could live in. She was talking about her grandkids coming over, spending the night. She got room for them and such. Like that's rewarding, right? Or you talk about, we sold a home 2 months ago to a family that he was a veteran, and they were living in their RV by choice. I mean, nice RV, but living in an RV while they looked for a house for 2 years. They couldn't find anything that they could afford because they wanted to be able to homestead, and we were able to sell them a house with acreage, had plenty of room for them and their dogs and kids, which is cool, right? So I think number one, there's a need for affordable housing. Like, why you asked me, why do I tell people about this? Why do I go on podcasts? Why do I, be loud about it? That's number one, right? Um, is let's try to make a small dent in affordable housing. Number two, I've met a lot of great people that want to do land home packages, that want to get involved in affordable housing, right? Maybe they're flipping now, maybe they're flipping houses, maybe they're flipping land, or maybe they're wholesalers. They're looking for their next thing. And that's pretty rewarding to be able to help. I mentioned earlier, we have an education program where we teach people this. Um, I was on a call this morning, actually. And I don't say this to boast, but you asked the question, but it was pretty cool to hear. I was talking with a guy, and him and his business partner are part of our program. His They both moved. Well, he moved from Chicago down to South Carolina, um, and his business partner lives in Chicago still. His business partner's wife, works like 15 hours a day and just is working really, really hard, supporting family, doing a great job. But he said that they've been praying together, him and his business partner, for 25 years for a pathway that his wife can quit the job and not have to work so hard. And actually, at the end of this month, in 14 days, April 29th, he's closing on a house. The business partner in Chicago is closing on a house in South Carolina and moving down, and his wife's quitting the job. Um, and these guys are in their 60s and just killing it. They're doing an awesome job. But anyways, that's rewarding, right? To say, man, if I could help more people like that, and it makes a difference in their life, that I really enjoy that, because I really enjoy seeing other people succeed. And of
That's
course,
awesome.
we're making money, right? Like, I mean, if I tell you about it, I tell other people, maybe we partner together in the future. Maybe you buy a mobile home from me later. You know, who knows, right? But of course, there's that part of it too. But money can drive you, of course, but only so far. And I think addressing affordable housing and seeing other people's success can drive you further.
I love that answer, man. That's a great answer. I feel the same way, in real estate and any type of coaching, any type of environment like that, when that joy that you get from someone else's achievements, you know, because it's not necessarily us, like, us doing this call gives a lot of information, but if somebody takes the information out of this call and they go execute it, that's them that did it. But it's
Hmm.
cool to know that we were seeds. I
Yeah.
think that's awesome, to know that. Um, okay, so as far as finding deals, let's say, I'm a wholesaler. I want to get into this. Maybe I don't have a lot of money to spend on education right now, but I have time. I can pull list, I can make cold calls. What's the best way to approach someone like you and to send you deals? And what are you looking for?
Yeah. Listen, just call me, text me. I'll give you my number out later if you want, but and let's talk about what works, what doesn't work. Um, and we'll find the right piece of land. I think there's plenty of YouTube videos and such, and I think you can learn from those. We partner up with Brent Bowers, who specializes in finding land, right? And so he's got a million videos. He's a better YouTuber than I am, but he's got a lot of videos that you can go watch and figure out how to find land. But if you've got a question, feel free to call, text me, email me, say, hey, here's my market. I'm thinking about finding land. Um, and I'd love to help you kind of narrow the criteria. But as I mentioned earlier, typically we're looking for $20,000 to $40,000 for land. In our markets, typically a half acre to an acre. The flatter, the better. Road frontage, of course. We'll buy larger tracts. We'll buy 5, 10 acre tracts and subdivide it too. But yeah, so we're happy to have a conversation and get you pointed in the right direction, whether that's for you personally, just going out to find land, um, or for yourself to do land home packages because you're interested in it, or if you want to find land and wholesale it to other people. Happy to help you with some criteria, and also happy to help connect you with people that are in your area that I know are doing land home packages that would buy land from you.
Do you have capacity? Like, do you have a limit that you're willing to do per month or per year that that you're not going to go? But and if you hit that limit, if you have one, what do you stop? I mean, I'm sure you don't stop looking for land. So do you ever just sell the land or owner finance the land? I know what's your other strategies?
Man, that's a great question. And it's probably like every day's different. It's a roller coaster, right? Some days I'm like, man, I only want to do 10 of these a year and I'll have a really good living and I'll only work 4 hours a month, right? Um, and honestly, like that's happens like every 2 weeks. But other than that, like regular, what's my capacity? I don't know yet. I haven't hit it. Like I said, we did 50 last year. I'd like to do 100 this year, maybe 150, but I don't know. In terms of what we do, if it doesn't work for land home, or maybe we are at capacity, because capacity could mean a lot of different things, right? Capacity could be just you can't handle any more work. Capacity could be we can't get any more funding, or it could be our subcontractors are too busy. And so we will wholesale land sometimes, very rarely, but we will. Last year we did two subdivides where the land was just the highest and best use was for a site built house. And that wasn't it's not our expertise. We're not that patient. And so we ended up we subdivided those parcels and sold them to builders. And honestly, those are our most profitable deals if you look at single deals. But um, we only do that, call it 2 to 4 times a year. It's not really part of our strategy, but we had a great deal on both of those parcels. We didn't want to pass it up.
Yeah. What do you like better, mobile home parks or the land home packages? And why? Do you have does it matter? I'm sure they both have their own purposes, right?
It's a good question. Today's probably I paid a buttload of taxes this morning, and so I need to buy more mobile home parks. So if anybody on this call has or listening is selling mobile home parks, I would love to buy them. But my mobile home parks are really like long term investing, and so I love the hunt of like trying to find a mobile home park. But
Hmm.
then once I buy it, I turn it over to a third party property management company. And so my interactions, I own 25 mobile home parks right now, about 230 lots. But my interaction is probably like an hour a week with the mobile home parks, because the property management company manages it. But anyways, I do love the hunt and love talking to sellers. Typically, the sellers of mobile home parks are older guys and have really good knowledge and insights that they can share with me. Um, but land home packages, I mean, I'm kind of like a go fast kind of guy. I like the land home packages because it's just we're in and out of them in 4 to 6 months. We did one recently. It was 118 days, from the time that we bought the land to the time that we sold. And we've done it faster. We've done it in 90 days. But so there, I don't know. As I think about business, and I've done this throughout my career in entrepreneurship, I've started businesses. I usually get bored like once the business is started and then just want to move on to the next thing. So I think land home packages is like a good thing because it gets going and then it's over and then you go to the next one, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, man, that's for sure. I like so let's see, we got some people on here. There's a few questions. So Mike asked Northeast also. So are you only doing it right now in do you have anybody in the Northeast? Do you have anybody doing deals in the Northeast right now, like students? Do you know anybody?
Uh, Nobody that I know doing land home packages in the Northeast, like physically, like land home packages in the Northeast. That being said, we do have people that are located in the Northeast and are doing deals in other areas. One of our the best students is located in Boston, doing deals in East Tennessee and having a ton of success. So, but no one, not actually doing deals in Boston, of course.
The Sun Belt's probably just a very hot area in general for these type of deals, right?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. But yeah, we've got guys that are in New Jersey, New York, Boston, Virginia, DC. Um, they're all doing deals all over the country. You don't have to go all the way down to Tennessee. You could do Virginia, Maryland. You could do Delaware. I've talked to some guys that want to do it in Delaware, um, but I don't think they've executed on just yet.
We can open up the chat. I mean, if anybody has any questions, I know we have some people have their camera on. There's not a lot in here today. I think most people's watching on social media on Facebook. Jared, I see you on here, man. How you doing? You have anything? You have any questions or you anything you want to say?
Uh, no questions. I think as of right now, it was pretty good just to kind of get and sit and listen to hear of another avenue I can kind of look into as well. Growing up in West Virginia, we all know there's a mobile home pretty much every other stretch of land that you can see around here. So it is something that could be a viable option if there is other people around here. Because I definitely see, especially in my time being here in the past 4 months, there is a lot of vacant land that seems to come up a lot more here recently for me. So being able to find maybe another investor that would be looking for those land park deals as well back here could be another avenue of being able to put those vacant lands instead of just looking to kind of wholesale them super quick.
That's awesome. I seen that you were posting some stuff about land, in some groups. I was like, man, that's cool that he's on here. You must have some interest in mobile homes. So that's awesome, man. I'm glad to see you.
Mine is I was just kind of glad. I know I've been kind of swooped up because see this last 2 o'clock is my last hour of work. But I think with the schedule that I've put together, probably in the next 5 months, my 9 to 5 will be out the door, and it'll be real estate full time, and I should have my real estate license by the end of this month. So I'm starting to do the full transition now.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations. And before you hop off not just off of this call, could you tell everybody what you just did? Like, didn't you just like have a pretty big win for yourself?
So I actually, I had one pretty much go through. It was my first deal that actually went through. We closed. We started it in the end of February, closed in the beginning of March. It was definitely glad to get my feet on the ground and get something to walk through, so I can take the nerves and throw them out the door and realize that this is something that isn't scary. It's just talking and it's just numbers. And that to me is not worrisome at all. But we went back and forth. I definitely have figured out that my numbers needed a little bit tweaking to pull up a little bit tighter. And once I finally corrected my numbers a little bit, the deal was probably easier than snapping my fingers. She just kind of looked at me and said, yes. We sent it to our attorney's office and it was signed in less than 2 weeks. So that one went by pretty awesome. And then I will definitely say in learning and wholesaling, I've learned the pathway a little bit better. I definitely learned something very well about getting properties under contract. And the investor I was working with at the time made it partially out to the property. And the buyer at the time was supposed to go ahead and sign that day. So I was thinking in my head that I just had everything lined up in the right time order. Investor got out there, and lo and behold, he did not sign. So things kind of went away for a minute. The investor being who they were, very good person that I'm still in contact with now. She actually got the property for less after negotiating back and forth with the seller versus me. And she ended up reaching out and contacting me and said, I don't want you to go unpaid. She was like, I think it's fair that since you brought this to me, she's like, I'd like to keep the connection. And no more than a week later, she sent me a check in the mail and said, don't forget to send me more properties. So I
That's
said,
awesome.
yes, ma'am, I'll be on my way.
That's awesome. Hey, I just want to say
But I will say just
congratulations,
really
man.
quick, I just want to say it's definitely a lot to you and Coach Travis because back in December, that's when you and I pretty much first had the conversation that we did. And back then, as you probably knew, I was still a little bit nervous, just thinking that this could actually be a path for me outside my actual 9 to 5. And January hit, it was a little bit rough. And then as I started making those calls and actually getting my feet out there, the conversations are super easy. Talking to people is super easy to me, and that's the whole part that I enjoy the most about this. I love getting to meet new people, and I love getting to have these conversations and hear different people's perspective on an outlook. Because shoot, I could sit at home and take my own perspective all day, and that it's only going to get me one place. But coming in here to a group with some great people like you all, um, it's definitely pushed me to where I'm at now and given me the availability to actually say that I can quit my 9 to 5 here soon and pursue something that I actually want to. So thank you to both of you.
Hey, thank you, man. We appreciate you, and we appreciate. I remember that call we did, and I remember you were just getting started, and just to see you've already accomplished so much in such a short period of time, man. That it's I'm glad that you feel like we're a small seed in your journey, but it's all you. And message me after this call, and let's get on a private call, me, you, and Coach, and let's see if there's a way we can work together tighter in our market because we're right here, and there's no reason we shouldn't be. But we appreciate you, man. And Robert, man, we appreciate you, man, coming on here and talking with us. Does anybody have any other questions before we go, or do you have anything else you'd like to say? Like I know you have your coaching. You said that, you're if somebody wants to learn more about that, how do they do that? They just message you? Do they call you? What's
Yeah,
your
just
number?
shoot me a message. My number is 864 Send me a message. Happy to talk. Again, that's 864-293-2798. But yeah, happy to talk. Jared, I don't know you. You don't know me, but man, that's awesome, dude. Congrats. And you're going to be successful. Keep showing up. We've got a guy that's in our group of land home guys. He's 20, he was 24 when he started, but 25 years old. He shows up to every single call. And he is well on his way to making several multiple six figures just by showing up. And when he started 6 months ago, 9 months ago, like the guy had $0 to his name. He's probably gonna listen to this, but he had $0 to his name. He's got a little more now, but anyhow, he just showed up every single day, and sounds like you are. So nice job, man.
Yeah, man. He's Jared's action
You
taker.
guys do
Mike, you
appreciate
got a question, Mike?
I wanted to know if Jared's numbers. I don't know if he said it, but I get excited about numbers. What was the profit? Or feel free not to disclose it if you're.
Did Jared hear you?
He went out to San Francisco.
No, you're good. Just having some troubles on here. So The first one was actually, it was 5 grand. It was a super quick sale. When I say on that one that I needed to tighten my numbers, we came in at 60 grand is what we signed it for. My buyer came back to me at the time and said 50 grand. So her and I went on an hour long conversation of just talking about her day and her situation. And so she was an RN. She didn't want the house anymore. She wanted it gone by next week. So I said, okay, if I can have it gone by next week, where would I need to be? I stopped saying numbers all at once. And she said, nothing lower than 40 grand. I said, okay, you got the paperwork. It should be there by this evening. And we had sent it over to titling, I think, the next Monday. So we signed on a Friday, sent it in Monday, and she, I think, signed by the following week because she still had a mortgage payment on that property. So she went and actually paid the difference of what that mortgage was and the difference between us. And then the second one was a lot smaller. It was 2,500, but that was one that I was happy to be paid for because she did not have to reach out to me at any point and say, hey, I'm going to pay you any bit extra. But she was like, I'm going to pay you, just to be fair, because she kept asking me at first, what do you think that you should be paid? And right now, don't get me wrong, my whole goal is to make money, but I'd rather make connections with people because in the end, like, I've got hopefully 60 years of life. So I've got, a great amount of time to make money, but connections now is what matters to me the most.
Sure.
Listen, Jared, reframe that, man. 7,500 bucks, dude. That's a ton of money. Think about a year ago. Did you ever think that you could make 7,500 bucks working like 40 hours, right? So, dude, don't say it's only
That's
5,000
one that
bucks, man. Say, man, unbelievable. It was $5,000. That's huge.
Let me show you one of my
so
old
I'll say
my
That's
pizza
one of my that's a
delivery
Weber grill
checks,
for me.
Jared.
I will definitely say in the midst of this, what's hard for me is, don't get me wrong, I like to celebrate my wins. But so I was actually down at the beach for a friend's wedding when that first assignment came through. And my girlfriend and I were sitting on the beach. And when I saw the picture come through, the check, my first thought in my mind was like, man, I thought I'd be super excited. But there I was back on my lead list again, like looking for the next property. I was like, no, I can't let it die. And I was like, I got to find the next one now. And so she looked over at me and was like, what are you doing? You should be enjoying your time. And I was like, that's the part now. Don't get me wrong. Like, I enjoy my 9 to 5 now, but it's not like this. It's almost like I wake up with excitement. I'm ready to make the next call to talk to someone else to hear what they're going through. It's more fun now than what it's ever been. And I'm just so excited for what keeps stepping up day after day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Good stuff, Jared. Definitely. Um, if there's I don't think we have any other questions. Another thing I was going to add to the mobile home, like the land home deals. I done one of these one time between two houses. I bought a house. Me and my wife have kind of lived like, Bedouins, if you will. We've, every 2 years we'll flip a house and move to the next one. And because, you can make tax-free money off of them. So, and then one time we done a mobile home, double wide on land. And so I'm thinking if you're trying to get started in the mobile home land, that's a good way to do it, is maybe as your primary residence. Is you start off that way, you get in, you do the mobile home land deal, you live in it 2 years, then you sell it.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to make money, particularly when you're young, or even if you're, older. It doesn't matter, but it's just, we used to move a lot. We used to move. I mean, we were like, uh, to this day, my wife don't hardly hang anything on the walls, pictures or stuff, because we we move from house to house to house to house. But that was just our way of making extra money and doing more. So
That's cool. I like that.
yeah, yeah. Mike didn't have anything else? Okay, so
yes to your strategy.
okay, I didn't hear you, Mike.
I was just saying yes to your strategy.
Yeah.
Still a check mark there.
Okay, good deal. Good deal. Okay, so Robert, your contact information and stuff, we can put that down in the description of the video.
That's awesome.
So You just give us all that information. Now, if you become a student of Robert's, they get your entire course, they get your checklist, your 50 item checklist, and they would be able to purchase homes through you, correct?
That's right. Yeah, we have an online course. We have weekly calls. So we have 4 weekly calls every single week. Two that are focused on land home deals, and two that are focused on finding land. Um, and you have also access to Brent's land chart course, which is all about finding land. And then, we also offer one-on-one coaching. If people are interested to be coached one-on-one, we offer that too.
That land course is valuable, guys. I've took it personally. I'm a Brent Bauer student, so I will vouch that it's legit.
Appreciate that.
But yeah, we appreciate you, man. Maybe next time we can dig a little bit deeper on the mobile home parks. That really interests me is the mobile home parks. I know that, there's for a few years there were some gurus out there that was really big on mobile home parks, and now it seems like the mobile home parks fad is dying down. I'd like to learn a little bit more about it. The ins and outs of it. So I know that that's a lot more due diligence, right? The mobile home
Yeah,
parks.
yeah, for sure. Depends on what you're buying, of course. I buy small and mid-sized parks. And funny you say that. When we started land home package education, we actually started out as we were going to teach people how to buy small and mid-sized mobile home parks, and then we said, let's not do that. There's a lot of people. To your point, a few years ago, there was a lot of people doing that. So we said, let's. There's no one teaching people how to do land home packages, but I'm happy anytime to get on the phone and talk about mobile home parks and what we've done there. I enjoy mobile home parks. They're great for a tax benefit. Taxes really killed me today, but because I didn't buy enough mobile home parks in 2025. But from 2021 to 2024, I bought a bunch of mobile home parks and was able to reduce my taxes really down to zero every year. Last year, I only bought 3 mobile home parks, small ones, and that wasn't enough to write my taxes down. So I'm going to go back on a buying spree this year.
Nice. We'll definitely set a date to talk more about it.
Okay.
We appreciate you, David. You want to lead us out here?
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Always remember we have a school channel now, so it's Small Market REI on school. If you're interested in taking a look at that, it's a free group, and we've got a lot of courses and stuff and a lot of content in there for anybody who'd like to check that out. Also, we have a new deal breakdown going, so if you want the new deal breakdown, just reach out to Travis Sire on our Facebook page. Just put in deal, and we'll send you the link to that. And outside of that, thank you for watching. Robert, thanks for being with us. Uh, on behalf of Travis Goodwin, I'm David Dean. Find a problem, get a paycheck. Fix a problem, get a paycheck, right?